Hi everyone, I'm going to try to make a longer video. This time it will be about Venus, placement of Venus, planet of love, beauty, tangible energy in our chart. We all have, obviously based on the time of birth and the day of birth and geographically where we were born, we all have a chart. Composed by all the planets in relation to the earth, the moment we were born, the moment we took our first breath into our lungs. We can see how all the planets were positioned in relation to the earth, and this creates our astrological birth chart, in other words natal chart. So every astrologer will be interpreting this specific diagram, let's say picture. Okay, now interpretations obviously may vary depending on astrologers and their knowledge, but we all have our natal chart. It's just like one set thing, position of the planets. Every planet in our chart represents different energy. Obviously, we have Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, all the outer planets as well. And depending on time of birth, it is also our ascendant, which is the rising sign. So the planet, represents what? What energy? What would it be? For example, the Moon, meaning our reactions, impulses, how we come across, our emotions, emotional responses. When we look at the planet Venus, for example, it's all about aesthetics and love and how we form relationships, what we love, etc. When we look at the Sun, for example, it represents our strength of character, how we build our life, what our life is centered upon, etc. So every planet represents a different vibe, a different energy in our life. And then when we look at all these planets and their expression, it is really important to see which sign these planets fall in. We can, for example, focus on this most common kind of traditional, or let's say most common, most usual interpretation, which is, oh, you're a Virgo, so you're a this and this and this. And I just want to stress the importance of misconception of it, okay? Because if someone's sun falls in Virgo, okay, they may be very practical and modest and shy and very much like methodical in certain areas of the life. But if their Venus falls in Leo, they will have these, like signs of being grand and self-centered and generous and dramatic, in expression of their love and beauty, and how they create relationships, what they are looking for in partnerships. Okay, and their moon may be in Capricorn, which will bring very much like a super practical, calculated approach. So we are all composed of many different levels of planets, signs, houses, because each chart is divided in 12 houses. So every planet that falls in a certain sign, it also falls in a house, which means that it is represented in this area, specific area of our life, of our chart the most. So and also we have to take into consideration the aspects between planets. For example, you may have your sun in Pisces, so you may be very sensitive, receptive, creative, intuitive, submissive. But if your sun is conjuncting Pluto, it will give you this like really powerful vibe of being very willful and unbreakable as well. So it's very multi-layered, that's what I'm trying to say. So we cannot really interpret specific, just take out a specific symbolism of one planet or one sign and kind of like interpret it outside of the whole picture. It's always essential to have a look at your whole chart and have it interpreted by a professional astrologer, so that you can get to know how to combine all these elements together. However, we always have to also focus on like stripping down these layers, so that we can then throw them all in to one pot and kind of combine them together. So today I'm going to focus on the symbolism of the planet Venus that we all have in our chart. I will try to speak very slowly which is very new thing to me. I'll just try not to rush, make it slow, go through every sign, placement of Venus in every single sign of the zodiac. If you know your chart, you will know where to look. If you don't know your chart, you can use some free websites like astro.com, for example, where you can compose your own chart just by inputting your day, month, year, and time. Specific time of birth is needed as well for the proper astrological chart, and the place of birth, and then your chart will be generated on the website, and you can find all the placement of all the planets in your chart. Okay, so when we focus just on the planet of just the planet Venus, I will be reading some extracts from certain materials as well to just give you the most content. I will list the sources at the end underneath the video. You can have a look. There are obviously plenty of materials everywhere on astrology, so you can find a lot of information, but I'll try to concise it here. Okay, so we are talking about Venus today. Venus symbolizes, planet is always symbolizes what kind of energy, and when we look at the sign that it falls, it says how it's being manifested, how it's being realized in our life. So what is Venus? What energy does it symbolize in our chart? We all have Venus in our chart. Okay, so Venus symbolizes the urge to make relationships, the urge to cooperate and to find common ground with others. This is desire for unity and harmony, our values, what we put value on, and how we also value ourselves. So it's not just about love, it's very much self-love. Anything that is beautiful, art, beauty, appearances, tangible energy, what we place value on. Desire, love, the urge to attract and to be attractive. So how we want to create relationships, how we come across, how we want to present ourselves to be attractive to potential partners. Interestingly, from astronomic point of view, Venus is never more than 48 degrees from the Sun, as seen from the Earth. Which means that, for example, you cannot have Sun in Capricorn and have your Venus in Cancer. This is impossible, because only 48 degrees, possibly, we can go 48 degrees from the Sun. Venus never goes further than that. So, for example, you may be Aries with Venus in Aries, you may be Aries with Venus in Taurus, or you may be Aries with Venus in Gemini as well, actually going even further up to 48 degrees. Or you can be Aries, meaning you have your Sun in Aries, but your Venus may be in the sign before or 2 signs before. So never more than 48 degrees away from the Sun. In the personal birth chart that I was talking about, Venus describes in us the desire for love and desire for romantic attraction. It describes how we make ourselves attractive, how we might go about finding a partner, and what also we find attractive in other people. In both men and women, obviously, we all have Venus in our charts, as I said. It describes our image of beauty on a physical and aesthetic level. Also, in mundane astrology, Venus will describe, symbolizes anything to do with arts, culture, entertainment industry, glamour, fashion, film stars, musicians, jewelers, interior decorators, gardeners, and those involved in arts, and so on. So, keywords for Venus, what energy it represents, again, will be love, relationships, desire, beauty, peace, harmony, comparison, art and artistic expression, values and worth. In a positive way, how Venus is being expressed is through artistic channels, is being companionable, peace-loving, gentle, diplomatic, tactful, cooperative, collaborative, giving and receiving pleasure. But as everything in life, it also has a negative side. A negative expression of Venus would be being passive, jealous, constantly comparing, indecisive, ruled by desire, ruled by physical pleasures, self-indulgent, vain, and too strong emphasis on appearance, lack of belief in one's own worth. Okay, so I think you kind of, have this like general vibe of, you can feel the general vibe of what Venus represents in our chart. So now when we take this energy of what Venus, and when we focus on how it's being manifested and expressed in our charts, we can go through all 12 signs of the zodiac. So let's start from Aries, of course, the first one. If you, for example, you might have been born in February, March, you may be a Pisces, you may be an Aries, meaning that your sun is placed in this sign, but your Venus may be, for example, in Aries at the same time. So general kind of expression of Aries, what Aries symbolizes, the purest form of Aries energy, is through showing enthusiasm, initiative, strong drive, action, being energetic, self-motivated, daring, forceful, impatient, courageous, independent. It's about fighting spirits. It's about testing one's strength. On a negative level, it would be forceful, selfish, willful. Aries has this fighting spirit within. Energy is focused on independent initiative and action, individualistic expression. So when we combine Venus, how Venus can be expressed in Aries, we can imagine that it will be very enthusiastic, jumping ahead, pioneering, and energetic, very strong focus on action and drive, being self-motivated. It's also very much like spontaneous energy. I jump in, I don't wait for the other person to say something or accept me or not, but I just like reach out and grab what I love. It does bring certain selfishness around love as well. So I will read some extracts from another source to give you a bit more detail. But Venus in Aries is definitely very much like enterprising, spontaneous, very energetic, enthusiastic, but can be also quite selfish and willful. Okay, we have this very much like lively, passionate mood when Venus is in Aries. In the person and their chart, there will be a strong tendency to fall in love very quickly without any reservations, and the person will do everything in their power to win the affection of those that they are attracted to. The enthusiasm for love is delightful, and a real sense of fun and pleasure will color their attitude. This will in most cases be in their favor, since their charm, person with Venus in Aries, their charm is the straightforwardness of their approach, and if they are reasonably careful not to sweep their loved ones totally off their feet, they have much to offer. It is, however, important for these people with Venus placed in Aries to be aware that they tend to put their own needs and ideas about how the relationship should develop rather too forcibly. So this is this willful approach, this kind of like selfish attitude, like this is what I want, this is how I want this relationship to work, this is how it should look like. I don't necessarily look at you and what you want, but my ideas are most important. So quite forcible, slightly selfish attitude, Venus in Aries, but also, sporty, enthusiastic, full of initiative, beautiful. Yes, very much obviously depends where the sun sign falls, and also every other planet in the chart as well. But generally speaking, symbolism of Venus in Aries is combining these two, energies of Venus that I've expressed at the beginning, described at the beginning, with this very much like self-motivated, enthusiastic, full of initiative, drive and action, energetic Aries symbolism. Okay. Now, when we move on to the next zodiac sign, which is Taurus, second one, Taurus, if your Venus falls in Taurus, Venus feels at home in Taurus. It's in domicile, meaning that Venus rules the sign of Taurus. So Taurus energy, just to get the vibe of what we are dealing with here, Taurus energy. This is, all about patient energy. Okay, so Taurus is patient, slow, kind of conservative, perseverant, steady. This is like long-term gains. Very practical, grounded, very sensual, focused on beauty and aesthetics very much as well. Placid, practical, persistent. On a negative, in negative expression, Taurus energy is anything about being stubborn, unimaginative, possessive, and self-indulgent. But as I said, we all have negative side, and every symbolism in nature, every energy in nature has a positive and negative expression. But if this is overdone, if we have Venus in Taurus and it's overdone, it can come out as being too stubborn, too unimaginative, possessive, and self-indulging, as I said. But generally speaking, Taurus is all about physical strength, a fertile ground. Energy is focused on exploring physical and material resources and on enjoying physical, tangible existence. Yes, sensual, conservative, loyal, seeking pleasure, exploration of sensation and the body, development of physical resources, building, enjoying, measuring possessions and the material world. So this slow kind of enjoying beauty and pleasure, Taurus energy, and Venus feeling at home in Taurus is very sensual, is very slow, very practical, down to earth, and full of pleasure. Let's see how we can combine this energy. Venus placed in Taurus. Venus is powerfully placed in this sign, as I said, which she rules. Here we have someone who is truly loving and affectionate, who will do a great deal for loved ones, but who could at times tend to become rather possessive towards them. But there is considerable generosity present, and the individual will express their feelings in a beautiful and romantic way. There will be a considerable need to enjoy life together, and expensive outings and presents will enhance the relationship. So yes, Venus in Taurus is very much material, it's grounded, material, focused on richness and tangible things. So it is very much about material value as well. But Venus in Taurus is not without a certain caution, and while sensuous in the expression of love, there is no great desire to rush into a relationship, because every step of the process is there to be enjoyed. This is particularly the case if the sun sign is in Taurus as well, and certain possessiveness is kind of like emphasized here. But it is a very steady, aesthetic, kind of beautiful, creative, very romantic, slow progress energy, of Venus, how Venus can be expressed. So very different to this Aries, crazy, spontaneous, enthusiastic, jumping in without thinking. This is very different. Taurus is very slow, enjoying every moment of the relationship, of the courtship, etc., etc. Now, moving on, we have the third sign, which is Gemini. Gemini, archetype of Gemini, anything to do with Gemini is the energy that is very much like sociable, diverse, quick-witted, rational, intellectual, anything to do with changeability, being adaptable, interactive, communicative, very great focus on intellectual and communicative qualities, connecting with people, need for diversity, very versatile, quick, mental activity, curiosity, a lot of interests, learning, information, fast flowing energy. The downside of Gemini is that it may be too superficial, too fast, too changeable, too shallow and unpredictable. But as I said, every sign, energy, planet, etc., has its negative and positive expressions. So when we think about, Gemini, loves the idea of polarity and twinning, bridging, linking, networking, communicating, anything to do with linking certain energies. It is light and playful. Tendencies to be very outgoing, active expression of intellectual qualities, flexible, adaptable by nature. Intellectual realm and social connections are important to Gemini. So when we think about the planet of love and beauty, Venus, jumping into the energy of Gemini, if someone has Venus in Gemini. What can we expect? Here, Venus is lively, light-hearted, and flirtatious, very flirtatious. Those who have this placing get considerable pleasure and sheer fun from their emotional relationships, and need, as well as a varied love life, plenty of friendship and good intellectual rapport with their partner. So Venus in Gemini will be very much needing intellectual connection, being on the same wavelengths, connecting on intellectual mental level, rather than just focusing on romantic or like tangible kind of love expression. Sometimes the duality of Gemini will make the presence felt with the individual having more than one relationship at a time. Venus in Gemini, from what I have observed, is person that maybe not it may not come to them very easily to remain loyal, but if they are loyal, they will always have a lot of social interactions and friendships around them. So okay, it very much also depends where the sun falls, obviously, because when we have somebody that has the sun in Cancer, which is very loyal and emotional and family oriented, Venus in Gemini will be a little bit like moderated by the sun expression of Cancer. But if we have a placement of the sun in Gemini and then Venus in Gemini as well, definitely the flirtatious, superficial, changeable, a bit crazy, adaptable, flexible, kind of sociable element will be highly visible here. So yes, Venus in Gemini always looks for different like impulses in life, new interests. There is a tendency to be superficial, as I said, but there is this great deal of being able to connect with everyone, talk on every subject at every level with many different people, and the love for versatile, changeable energy and constant change is actually quite emphasized here as well. Now let's move on to the energy of Cancer. Cancer again is very different to its predecessor Gemini. Cancer, and that orientation is definitely towards family, stability, grounded energy, very emotional, caring, sensitive, nurturing, receptive, supportive, imaginative. The negative sign of Cancer will create very moody and neurotic, vibes. But altogether, Cancer, as I said, is creating orientation towards family, clan, tradition, development of emotional ties, tradition. It has impulse to nurture and protect others. We have self-protection, self-protective tendencies, empathetic, emotional vibes, creating and consolidating emotional bonds, seeking a deep inner emotional security. There is a need to belong. Building a home, building a secure nest is very important for Cancer energy as such. Yes, Cancerian energy, a strong focus on family and tradition. Where do I come from? What my family history is. Venus placement in Cancer emphasizes the love of tradition, love of roots, family history, place where I live, where I belong. So when we combine again this Venus symbolism with Cancer energy, we have, what can we expect? Very caring qualities, love, affection, very caring and nurturing towards the partner. There is a tendency to over worry and be too much concerned over about the partner, over the partner, but it brings a lot of supportive energies, nurturing supportive energies, very strong focus on feelings, emotions, high level of emotions. It will have to be expressed through a deep and sincere form of love, real sense of belonging. There is an element of smoldering intensity here, definitely. So the downside of Venus in Cancer would be not just being moody and neurotic, but sometimes being too needy and too clingy. It's like this need to have the partner, need to belong. Yes, so everything can be counterbalanced, obviously, but the best expression of Venus in Cancer is to care for something, care for somebody, care for the partner, for the home, for the family, for the children. It's very nurturing and caring. It's really beautiful, actually. And then we move on to the energy of Leo, the dramatic Leo. So the archetype of Leo, I think we all know the archetype of Leo, very much kind of like proud, dignified, creative, expressive, dramatic energies, creative impulse, natural joy, self-expression, self-dramatization. Leo loves to play. Being a fire sign, it radiates warmth and courage and is a natural leader. There's a tendency to be very outgoing and active in self-expression, but also it's very loyal and powerful sign. So grand, loyal, creative, generous, confident, dramatic, playful, joyful, loves joy. Yes. Proud and dramatic. When somebody hurts Leo, Leo energy can become very arrogant and authoritative and self-centered and attention-seeking. So the purest positive expression of Leo is being generous and loving and creating wonderful space, for others to feel amazing, to feel loved and accepted, with a touch of glamour and luxury. But if you hurt a Leo, they will bite back by being very arrogant and self-centered. Okay, so when we have Venus in Leo, this grand, playful, artistic energy comes to the forefront. Venus in Leo is a placement that very often we can find among actors, people that are visible, that act on stage, that are either famous or just like visible. Their job is to show their artistic qualities on a stage. Leo is very much about being on stage. So Venus in Leo placement in your chart, if you have it, yes, you will want everything, grand, the biggest. You will aim high. You will want you spread your wings and want the best things for the relationship, for your partner. This is the dramatic flair and exaggeration. Venus in Leo placement people will often spend a fortune on the sheer enjoyment of their relationship. This is all about aiming high, being generous, spending money, treating their partners to everything that they can, think of, showing this dramatic flair and real enjoyment. Venus in Leo probably has a bigger sense of pleasure from giving rather than receiving, but it needs to be given with this like flair and dramatic kind of enthusiastic approach. Very generous. Venus Leo people are very generous, and this they associate giving presents, gifts to their object of their love as the expression of their emotion of love. So Venus in this sign is very passionate, actually, very passionate. There's a strong passion, expression of inner courage, confidence, excitement, glamour. There is a need for an exciting partner or partner that somehow glitters and is, visible or famous or popular in the eyes of other people. So it's like about aiming high, and Venus in Leo is not shy, modest, hidden, lack of, not confident, but Venus in Leo is like very much dramatic and outgoing and passionate. Beautiful, actually, very generous as well. Okay, what else can I say about that? Over dramatizing definitely is a tendency here, but if you are being loved by someone who has Venus in Leo, at least you may be you may rest assured that they will take care of all the birthdays and anniversaries with the grand gestures. They'll treat you to everything they can, and they will make a big deal out of it, and you will truly feel special, but they need to feel special too in the relationship. Now let's move on. Next sign is Virgo. The sixth sign of the zodiac is Virgo. So the purest expression of Virgo energy It's practicality, being modest and shy and analyzing, discriminating, helpful. Virgo very much wants to be of service to others. They want to help. They are very meticulous, very methodical, efficient, practical, interested in detail, things on a small scale. Someone that has a lot of planets in Virgo will always focus on the small picture rather than the bigger picture. Okay, so they'll always, you know, I know some people with Venus in Virgo that have everything in order. You know, everything has to be, there is this like tendency to OCD, to be OCD, okay? Very detailed, very much like small scale, methodical, meticulous, modest, precise. Practical results are very important here. Analyzing qualities, abilities. The negative expression of Virgo energy would be being too fussy, too perfectionist, too OCD, as I said earlier. But altogether, Virgo archetype would be, the purpose of it would be to create order out of chaos, to sort, analyze, to separate, wheat from chaff, ensuring that all things remain productive and useful. It's about being helpful, making the world a better place, easier place to live. Virgo adjusts to necessity and is concerned with the development of technique, skill, and craft. The negative polarity lends an inwardly oriented feel to planet. Okay, but it's all about being grounded, practical, and there's optimal functioning that Virgos always focus on, but also, modest expression, humble, precise, practical. Okay, being helpful, wanting to help others. When we have Venus in Virgo, it's very interesting placement because one of the traits of Virgo energy is definitely being shy and modest and innocent, looking innocent. People with Venus in Virgo, I've noticed this tendency among my customers, or throughout studying astrology for years and years, that people with Venus in Virgo, they will throughout their life remain very much like, they look very innocent and shy and modest. They definitely disseminate this like clean kind of like feel around them, but within they may not be such innocent and modest. Actually, they are very experimenting and trying out a lot of different things, especially in love when your Venus is in Virgo. But the general attire, like the outward attire, will be very much about being modest and humble and shy and innocent. Actually, I've noticed that people with Venus and Virgo have a lot of experimenting and trying a lot of different relationships, trying out different things in their love life before they decide to settle. Yes, but they will give off this very innocent vibe, I think. So also, one more thing, if you have Venus in Virgo, I think you're really lucky because it promises looking young. There is a tendency that people with Venus in Virgo and Capricorn actually have. Like with age, you actually look younger and younger, or there is something very aesthetic, beautiful, modest, innocent, adding youthful energy as you grow older in your appearance. That's really interesting. So yes, Venus and Virgo placement is lucky indeed. Okay, so it's very rational and modest, as I said. It's emotionally fairly low-powered and very critical. I forgot to mention the downside of Venus and Virgo is definitely this discriminating, fussy, perfectionist, but very, very critical vibe as well. Venus and Virgo people will at some point have a lot of, ideas of how they can improve their partner, what their partner should change to become better, or they will just be very much there's very strong attention to detail of what you can do differently. I'm your partner, so I'll tell you what you can change to make this relationship better or to make yourself better. So it's very discriminating, very petty and critical at times. Okay, there's a downside of Venus in Virgo. It obviously very much depends on the placement of the rising sign, sun sign, moon sign, and all the chart. But in its purest form, Venus in Virgo will have this tendency to be critical, to be very modest and shy. There's definitely a vibe of shyness that they give off. Okay, very conservative approach in certain ways as well. As I said, this one very much depends on other combinations, combination with other planets as well. But Venus in Virgo will try to make things neat and modest, and everything will be in orderly fashion. The relationship will be very much like, analyzed. Things will be put in order. So creating, as I said at the beginning, creating order out of chaos, and very practical approach. So someone with Venus in Virgo will try to practically bring expression of love into their relationship by being helpful, by creating order, by telling partner what needs to be changed to create this order, and is very methodical, focused on detail, etc. So yes, very useful, I would say, very useful. Now, Libra, we move on to Libra. Venus rules two signs. It rules Taurus and it rules Libra. So it's in its so-called domicile when it sails through these two signs. Venus in Taurus I've covered earlier. Now we have Venus in Libra. Libra is a beautiful placement for Venus, because it shows a lot of balance and harmony and aesthetics. We have this focus on partnership, relationship, harmony, collaboration, cooperation. It's very graceful, peace-loving, very diplomatic. It's beautiful. I would risk saying that Venus in Libra is the most beautiful placement for Venus that you can imagine. Whatever your other planets, wherever they fall, whatever they express, what placements they are, if you have Venus in Libra, you have ability to charm people, to bring peace, to bring harmony, to show this like very loving, sociable, gracious, cooperative tendency when you enter any kind of like partnership, interaction, etc. The downside of Venus in Libra would be being indecisive and potentially over-compromising as well. Yes, it brings difficulty to make a decision. Venus in Libra also has a tendency to flirt with one person, go out with another one, maybe potentially have one partner, or maybe two, or maybe three. So Venus in Libra loves love. Venus in Libra is in love with love, okay? But as I said, it's very harmonious and balanced as well. Yes, I'm just reading what else I can add here. Anything to do with social interactions. Okay. Peaceful energy, artistic expression, diplomatic, aesthetic, collaboration, cooperation, working with unity and harmony, balancing the opposites through relationships. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous placement of of Venus in Libra. What this source tells us, the effect of Venus in Libra is very much strengthened here, because the planet rules the sign. Here is Venus in tender, romantic, considerate mood, and those with this placing will be extremely kind and diplomatic and charming. The need to relate is considerably heightened, and individuals may tend to commit themselves early in life to a permanent relationship. This can sometimes work adversely for them because they are not always ready to cope psychologically. This is actually interesting because, yes, Venus in Libra will rush into creating a relationship. It may be too hasty, too fast, and not very much like thinking things through, but Libra Venus needs a partner. They need someone that will admire them, that they can charm, that they can socialize with, that they can make an impression on, that they can attract. Libra as such always needs the other party, the partner, somebody that will be there next to them all the time, especially with Venus in Libra. Obviously, there's this like constant need to love and to be loved, so there may be this haste to rush into a relationship as well. Fine arts, anything to do with beauty, creativity, luxury, refinement in any form. Yes, the downside of Venus in Libra is also that These people need to be admired, they need to be loved, complimented, and they love these things. And it will be easy to compliment a Venus in Libra person, because they will, they will bite into it straight away. They will get it straight away, and they will cling to it. So it's easy to make an impression on a person with Venus in Libra by complimenting them, and this is the downside, because I think Venus Libra placement people are very susceptible to being charmed by being complimented. So there is a fine line here, be careful. But it's definitely beautiful expression of refinement, art, creativity. Usually when you meet somebody with Venus in Libra, you will see that these people have something beautiful about them, meaning balanced, aesthetic. It's beautiful, like the looks, the way that they combine colors, something about, I don't know, either makeup or clothes or jewelry. Venus in Libra stands out by actually being beautiful. That's simple. Now we move on to Scorpio. Scorpio, archetype of Scorpio is very much about Scorpio is, tends to be the most complicated sign, because it symbolizes the process of transformation and the cycle of life. Everything dies here in the northern hemisphere in autumn, and then we have phoenix rising from the ashes. Is this process of transformation and rebirth with Scorpio. So it's a very intense and complicated sign, but obviously it also has its positive and negative expressions. But if we want to boil down the symbolism of Scorpio, I would say that it is a very intense, secretive, resourceful, intuitive sign. Anything to do with being insightful, deep, determined, very loyal, passionate, very sensitive, powerful, and private. The downside of Scorpio is strong jealousy, strong possessiveness, very strong secretive energies, and also being unforgiving and overbearing to the partner. So yes, we have uncompromising, intense, willful, secretive energies, radical in a sense. Externally very tough and perseverant and determined, but internally highly, highly sensitive, emotionally very vulnerable. There is this depth of experience. If you have Venus in Scorpio, you will not be satisfied by superficial, meaningless kind of experience of love. It needs to be a deep connection. It needs to be something that ticks all the boxes for you on this very deep, intense emotional level. Sharing at a very deep level. Scorpios are not very much, Scorpio Venus is not very much interested in superficial adventure. If there is a relationship, it needs to be deep. You need to share on a very deep level. Intense personal attachment and emotional involvement. Strong transformation. Venus in Scorpio likes to get transformed through a relationship, and it likes to transform the partner through the energies of love as well. When we combine these two, what this source says is that by tradition, Venus is not supposed to be very well placed in this sign. Certainly the effect of the planet can be somewhat heavy and over-passionate at times. Here is a deep intensity of feeling which needs full expression and a very understanding partner. The individual with Venus in Scorpio will work enormously hard at their permanent relationship. They're very loyal. They make it work for both partners, but sometimes the intensity is too great and overbearing, and the partner can feel sometimes claustrophobic and needs a little bit more light-hearted, freer lifestyle. So there is definitely this tendency here to be, too possessive or jealous or overbearing, but also Venus Scorpio placements can really well take care of their partner and nurture them, support them, and provide this kind of like rock solid support to the partner and to the relationship. There's a great deal of loyal energy as well. Right, moving on to Sagittarius. Sagittarius, so the ninth sign in the zodiac. The archetype of Sagittarius, well, we know archetype of Venus, so we know what we are looking at, but how it is being expressed. Sagittarius loves adventure and is very optimistic, enthusiastic, adventurous, freedom-loving, honest, outgoing, philosophical as well. The downside of Sagittarius energy would be being non-committal and quite blunt sometimes, very honest but very blunt as well. So there is not much tact at times, and not very much charming energies, but quite blunt, but as I said, non-committal as well. So yes, optimistic, honest, enthusiastic, outgoing, loving freedom. Venus in Sagittarius, it's not someone with Venus in Sagittarius is not someone that will easily settle down and accept their fate in everyday life routine. Venus in Sagittarius needs to explore, have adventure, doesn't want to commit, okay, or at least not too early. Or if it commits, it needs to have a lot of space for their own freedom and exploration outside of the relationship. So when we combine these energies, there is also a very great deal of open-mindedness, interest in education and travel. Sagittarius energy is all about like open mind and wide mental horizons. There is this drive for expansion, searching for growth and improvement, focusing on the future, on the wider global goals, etc. It's a big like philosophical approach to life, belief system. It's about aiming high and thinking big. When we have Venus in Sagittarius, it's probably somebody that will, love anything to do with higher education, philosophy, travel, kind of like wider horizons of mental capabilities, rather than just focusing on something very narrow and down to earth. But what can we expect in love relationships with someone who has Venus in Sagittarius? Well, so there is an attitude that can be quite breezy and very casual, okay? They need a partner that will match their intellectual level. They need to be on the same wavelength. They need to connect on like mental, intellectual level. So most importantly, the sphere of life here that comes to the forefront with Venus in Sagittarius is like connecting on a philosophical level. So they need to have the same level of optimism, enthusiasm, adventurous, like outgoing vibe, but also thinking alike, having similar opinions and views on the world, thinking out of the box as well. What else can we expect here? Yes, there's relationship cannot be boring in any sense. Venus Sagittarius will run away if there is a single, like slightest kind of shade of boredom in the relationship. They need exploration, they need adventure constantly. Lively. Love life must be lively and exciting. They will not tolerate boredom. Duality and versatility of Sagittarius will have a rather special kind of expression through Venus and will affect the attitude by being restlessness, adventurous, outgoing, taking risks, wanting to explore, grow through love relationship. So if yes, definitely like steamy, passionate as well, but mostly freedom loving. If you want to win over somebody with Venus in Sagittarius, strike the chord of let's go on adventure together, let's travel together, let's try this sport together, something extreme, risky. It's all about this very outgoing, enthusiastic, optimistic, adventurous energy, and connecting on intellectual, mental, philosophical level. Moving on, now the next one I want to talk about is the sign of Capricorn. Sign of Capricorn, the 10th sign. So the archetype of Capricornian energy is very much to do with self-sufficiency, independence, okay? We have self-reflecting qualities. We have very much here focus on being like reserved, conservative, quiet, slow. I remember once about 30 years ago when I started learning about astrology, something like really remained in my memory when someone described Capricornian energy. Let's bear in mind we all may have, or majority of you may have Capricornian energy in your chart, because obviously with all these planets and signs and axes and points in your chart, you have Capricorn somewhere, and some point or planet could fall in Capricorn. But expression of Capricorn, I remember, is like when you walk into the room, you may notice other people straight away by how they look, what they say, what energy they emanate. But there is this person sitting in the corner that nobody pays attention to, and they are very like slow and quiet. And then only after some time you actually realize that they have always been there, and their presence come to your attention after some time. This is Capricorn. Capricorn is very slow, quiet, in the background, conservative, mature, well-defined. Showing authority, this very controlling manner, reserved, conservative, serious, patient, organized, ambitious, strategic. Wonderful energy. I love Capricorn energy. The downside of Capricornian energy will be very guarded, too calculating, even ruthless, very calculating. So Venus in Capricorn looks for material stability. Venus in Capricorn, regardless of other placements of other planets, if you have Venus in Capricorn, you want a partner that can provide for you. You want a partner that is very practical, down to earth, that can provide financial security and safety, sense of putting roots down, being taken care of. Also, Venus in Capricorn will look for traditional ways to connect with a partner. They will want marriage. They will want, clearly laid out rules. They will want their partner's surname, etc., etc. Venus in Capricorn. Here, the expression of love is refined. There is an element of coolness and tremendous fidelity and a caring quality. Okay? Venus in Capricorn will want to do a great deal for the partners, and they will work particularly hard to make more money to provide everything possible for the partner. But also, they expect to be taken care of, so it works both ways. There is obviously a degree of warmth, like with every Venus expression, but here the main focus will be on this terrific sense of pride and some kind of status, I would say. Capricorn is very status oriented sign. So when you have Venus in Capricorn, through relationship, through partnership, you will want to enhance your status somehow. You will want to create this image, how people see you. You want to be with a partner that is important or famous or rich. There is this status oriented energy with Capricorn very much so. Moving on, we have two more signs. We have Aquarius and Pisces. So I am moving on to the energy of Aquarius, the archetype of Venus, through the symbolism of Aquarius. What do we associate Aquarius energy with? Aquarius usually, gives off this vibe of being independent, sociable, very friendly, rational, detached, cool, very intellectual, unconventional, also idealistic. But first of all, it's about friendly, amicable energies. Aquarius wants to connect to many different people on many different levels without any prejudice. It's a very forward-thinking sign. Aquarius energy is focusing on, somebody said that Aquarian energy Aquarius is a sign that should live 100 years away from now. They are very progressive. This is a very progressive vibe. So if someone has Venus in Aquarius, they are not traditional people. Venus in Aquarius is very open-minded. It jumps ahead, fast forward into many years ahead, and it thinks in a very progressive, open-minded way. So these people are very tolerant, open-minded. They will accept everything. They want to experiment in love, and there's no prejudice for them. Very innovative, original, finding ways to contribute to society or to a group. It's about social integration and solidarity. When Aquarius energy is being taken too far, so the downside of this energy is being eccentric, inflexible, and distant. Venus in Aquarius people, from what I have noticed, they are not very emotional. So it's not difficult for them to have a romantic interaction, have fun, get what they want out of it, which is experimenting, some kind of sense of community. But then they can, in a very cool way, detach themselves. They're just like, that's it, I've had my fun, goodbye. I don't feel sorry for you, I just want to move on. So it's a very cool and detached sign, but also full of experimentation and, social interactions, and open-minded, very progressive, friendly, beautiful energy. So when we combine Venus and the sign of Aquarius, what we can expect here, it will be, we will have somebody that is very open-minded towards love, wants to experiment. Here is someone who has, in their own individual way, a kind of star quality and dynamic powers of attraction. But there is a distinct tendency to distance themselves from partners, so that deep and meaningful emotional relationships are not always fully attained. And this is true. These people don't need joint account on Facebook. They don't need to hold hands when they go for a walk. They don't need to do everything together. They actually need freedom, so they can get their experience through love relationship that gives them anything they're after, but then they'll go in a different direction and they'll spend a lot of time on their own, and they will not miss the partner. So there's a great deal of individualism in relationships for these people. Of course, the emotional content of the ascendant and sun sign have very important part to play here, as we know, but generally speaking, Venus in Aquarius will give off these very intriguing and progressive kind of approach to love. Friendships are very important. I think that placement of Venus in Aquarius gives us a person that will need to treat their partner as a friend first of all. So they need to connect on on intellectual, mental level first of all. Maybe have like similar understanding of certain things in life, be on the same wavelengths. But emotions, connecting emotionally, is not that important. Mental connection is important. And then there is this easiness to just like switch off and walk away without any emotions as well. It's very peculiar, but very interesting, original, independent, forward-thinking qualities. And then we move on to the last sign, which is the sign of Pisces. If you have Venus in Pisces, what kind of person are you? How do you form relationships? What are you looking for, in terms of aesthetic and art and creativity in life? So Pisces energy is a very, very interesting one, because it's the last sign of the zodiac. It represents some kind of disintegration before stepping into a new cycle. So it's the least researched sign and the most mysterious one as well. Archetype of Pisces obviously is a very strong imagination, very strong sensitivity, being dreamy, but also very selfless, charitable. It's about embracing everything. It's about diluted boundaries. It's about blending in. Pisces are everywhere, just like embracing. This is, I would say, opposition of boundaries. Pisces embrace everything, they blend everything in. Strong imagination, strong psychic abilities, very strong intuition, amazing compassion, being very receptive, very psychic, very sentimental. It's a beautiful sign. The downside of Pisces energy would be becoming unfocused, distracted, and also very submissive. So sometimes if you have too many elements of Pisces in your chart, it may be difficult for you to really put boundaries in place. And especially with Venus in Pisces, you want to love everyone, you forgive everyone, you have difficulty in putting boundaries in place, or to push somebody back, push somebody away. So Pisces wants to help everyone, accepts and loves everyone. So it may be quite dangerous, but it's also very charitable, compassionate, beautiful, very healing, very intuitive as well. Venus and Pisces people very often have these receptive qualities of reading energies and being highly psychic, highly intuitive. Yes, there is this placing, there's a wealth of feeling and sentiment and warm sensitivity, which overflows the partner in a very loving, beautiful way. I think I'll just stop here because I love this expression of Venus in Pisces. If you have it, I think you're a very strong asset in your relationship, and you will very much always, like, you know, take care of and include your partner, and you can always show compassion and very strong kind of like protective, nurturing vibes towards them. It's a really beautiful, soft, compassionate, sentimental energy. Right, I hope you enjoyed the video. Next time I will talk about different planets, different signs, and maybe come up with some different ideas. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, comment below or email me, and I'll see you soon. All the best.